Hello and welcome to lesson 4. Now, in the previous lessons, I touched on things on ergonomics, exercises to do when warming up, or exercises to do to build speed, and of course, exercise for stretching to avoid getting injured. Now, on this one, I'm going to build upon sort of practice exercises or things to do to get yourself ready or to improve, or things that I think are good for improvement. And what I'm really going to cover today is the use of a metronome or a click track. Now, as you know, using a metronome or click track are going to help you with your meter. They're going to help you with your timing. And that's really the focus here. The only difference is I'm going to take a metronome or an online click track like what you see here. Now, take a quick look. And setting it at a slower speed and make the metronome or click track drop out so that you can practice. It's sort of like a game. You can practice on getting your timing right in line with the click as it drops out and when you come back in. And I'm going to demonstrate that in a bit. But more to explain about using a click, or at least my experience with it and the importance of it. Now, again, going back, yes, it improves your time, it improves your meter. But what I want you to focus in, or what I want you to focus on, is developing your own internal clock. And that's really the most important part of this exercise, where the click drops out, that your own internal clock will take over and you will discover your own click, and then you're going to be right in line with the click track of course, the machine. To me, that's very important, in that when you are developing your own time or your own internal clock, and you're either performing or you're recording, that it gives you a signature, because nobody's internal clock is exactly the same as another's. For instance, I have a whole bunch of drummer buddies. We could all play at the same time. We could play against the click track, and not everybody is going to be exactly on the beat, or not everybody is going to be exactly slightly behind the beat or slightly ahead. This is where we get our own identity. This is what defines us as drummers. And in terms of musical expression, dynamics, bringing life to the song, this is our signature. And that's the most important thing I would like to convey today. So as I'm going through these exercises, you're going to notice that my focus won't be doing something fancy or fast. Actually, it might even be developing tension. And that goes back to what I was saying about playing behind or playing above the beat, or even just giving the beat some space. That when you're building tension into a song, you're building emotion. And that might make or break the song. It might even enhance the song for the person who wrote it. And that's something I've done quite a bit, where I've worked with a lot of people who've written songs, and they'll give me a lot of free rein, but they say, I want this kind of beat here. But it's my own personality that I can bring to the song, where I'm either bringing dynamics through tension, or I'm manipulating time. And really, just to even expand that a little bit further, in what I was just saying about recording and doing songs for other people. If your internal clock is something that you feel confident with, and it becomes your signature, when it comes time to, and they do this a lot, that they'll take your drum tracks and they will quantize it or they will grid it. I'm not a big fan of that. I try to at least get my playing to be close to it. I think it's cool to do some gridding where the client or the person you're doing this for, or even for the band you're in, so that everybody's comfortable where the beat lies and where your hits lie in conjunction to how the other instruments are going to be. The only bad thing is when people do complete quantizing, and especially it's something terrible like 16 notes. you can suck the soul right out of the song. And to me, that's a crime in itself. So when you are in this process, be sure to make sure that that your voice is heard. A lot of times I've stayed quiet. I've just dealt with it. It was for somebody else. It was for a client, or it was for a band. I was trying to make them happy. But in the end, you have to live with what you've recorded. So if somebody took the swing out of something you recorded, you're going to live with that. And take it from somebody who's had to live with something he's not too happy about. It sucks. Okay. All right. So all that aside, here's what we're going to do for this lesson. Now, on the screen, I have an online metronome. It's from musicca.com. That's musicca.com/metronome. Easy to find. Again, I'm going back to what I was saying earlier. I'm going to set it kind of slow, and I'm going to make sure that I can keep up. And it's going to go for 8 bars, and then it's going to drop out for 8 bars. Or I'm sorry, not 8 bars, 8 beats. Almost made a big mistake there. All right, so 100 BPMs, drop out for 8 notes. And here we go. Oh, gonna let it start for a bit. And it's gonna drop out. Now it starts. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now there you saw I just did simple quarter notes along with it. And you notice when I dropped out, I just put in sort of like, I guess you'd call them half notes. I was on the second beat of every one of them. So I'm going to do the next one very, very similar, but I'm going to drop out and maybe do eighth notes, off eighth notes with a lot of space, or maybe I'll do some hertas or whatever. I'm going to keep it completely improvisational, but I just want you to get the point of what I'm trying to drive home. So here I'm going to start this one with eighth notes and then see where it takes me. And hopefully you can do the same. Now it's on the drop-off point. And you notice I just came right back on the beat. Now I'm going to take a little air, or a little break, I'm sorry. Oh, and here I missed. So I screwed up because I was too busy talking. All right, so I'm going to start again. I'll shut up, and I'm going to do the same thing where I'm going to go along with it and with eighth notes, and then I'm going to give it some space. Maybe drop in here and there. Let it go for a bit. And then some empty space, and then we're back on the beat. And then do nothing. And that's just a little demo of that. Now, what you don't see me doing, because of the camera angle, is my left leg. Trusty left leg is usually doing eighth notes or quarter notes, always along to the pulse. So when I'm playing with a click live or in studio, and if the beat I'm doing doesn't really require me to do double bass, my left foot is always on the hi-hat. It's always keeping time no matter what. That's what glues my time, or it helps glue me. This much I learned from, well, when I was a kid, from, the little bit of study I did with jazz with a great teacher I had. And the other was, recently watching guys like Thomas Haka from Meshuggah. If you watch him closely, he never crosses his hands. His left foot's on a hi-hat, and the hi-hat is constantly keeping either eighth notes or quarter notes, and the rest of his limbs are doing all kinds of crazy stuff. It's in 4/4, but it's in cyclical patterns, so it could feel like 9/8. It could be 13/8. I mean, anything is possible in their music if you really listen. But the anchor for him is always his left foot. The same could be true. Jay Postonis from Tesseract, awesome band, awesome drummer. He does the same. His left foot is always anchoring everything he's doing. Now, I use that as a habit to anchor to time. So whenever the click dropped out, that you just heard, my left foot was still going. And if you saw me, I was sort of pulsing or moving to the beat of myself, my internal clock. And that's how I was able to get back right in time. I did this at 100 BPMs. Now, let's do this at 90. You can see here, there's 90. It gets harder as it goes slower. So if you really want to challenge yourself, do this going slower and slower. So I'm just going to do a quick one just to see if I can do it again. It's something I practice a couple of times a week, just for a little while, and again, it's a game to see if I can get back on beat in time. All right, so here we go. Let it go out for a bit. And this is to get the pulse. And that's it. Again, it's a little game. When you're going at lower speeds, I figure the way that keeps me grounded at lower speeds, especially when I'm practicing this and going even lower than 90, like doing 80, is to make sure you're completely relaxed and that you're in tune with your internal clock. Or, holding the meter down with your left foot like I am, or if you're lefty, your right foot, or whatever you want to do if you're ambidextrous. But you get the point. Have something to ground your time, adapt that as your internal clock, follow it, relax, and most importantly, feel it. Because once you've felt the beat or the pulse, 9 times out of 10, it's going to carry you right through. And as you heard, when the click dropped out, I was able to come back in time, even when I was doing little things or nothing at all. And there it is. Simple as that. Develop your internal clock and you will be happy. Thank you very much for watching. And please reach out to me on social media if you have questions. Thank you very much.